Welcome to another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show, Pub Sports Radio, Thursday, January the 5th. Ian Cameron and Conor Mack ready for a Thursday now we're into January, February. We're going to see similar schedules. You're going to have lighter slates on Monday and Friday, bigger power conference slates on Tuesday and Wednesday. And Thursday is going to be, you usually get Pac-12, and there are a few, Big Ten, and there are a few. But other than that, it's mostly, a lot of CAA, a lot of Ohio Valley, Mount Missouri Valley, Summit League, those kind of conferences, Conference USA, those kind of conferences take over on Thursdays. So more of a mid-major variety on Thursday nights. And look, most of the marquee games will still be power conference games, but we will definitely dive into many of the mid-major games and the the games that we like that we didn't talk about initially. And of course, Q&A, you can feel free to pass along any game you like to us in the chat. So let's get into it. We will start with Maryland and Rutgers here in the Big Ten. We've got Rutgers 5.5-point home favorites, 131.5 the total in this game. I'm on the Rutgers side, Conor Mack. This is a team playing some really good basketball. Typically at home, they play really well, and I have no problem fading Maryland right now. That great start to the season is a thing of the past because they have been wretched in their last few games, the Terrapins. I never trust Maryland on the road. And not only that, but they're starting to lose at home now as well. That UCLA game was ugly. They go to Michigan, they get steamrolled. Rutgers is playing great at both ends. I think offensively, this team looks a little bit better. They've actually got guys that can make shots. That's been different in the past. They still bring that tenacious physicality, defensive-minded play as well. Just, I think, a team that is ready to take that next step, playing their best ball of the year at the moment. I do feel like maybe after the big win they had in their last game against Purdue, could there be a little bit of a letdown? Maybe, but conference game at home, they've been dynamite at the rack, not just this season, but in years past especially. I like them still laying the 5. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, there's certain things I don't do, and that, fade Rutgers at the rack. It's this number from 6. It's down to 5.5. There were a few 5s. It's kind of stayed. One thing with these two teams, though, I think the under's the look. I already saw someone put that in the chat. I think this is a low-scoring one. Maryland's just struggled, like you mentioned. That was a lone game that day I was on. I was on Michigan, and they just whipped their ass. These teams, the games have been pretty close, but usually the last couple of years, whoever's been at home's took care of business. 8-point win. 10-point win. It's just stayed close to this number. That's why this under could be a little bit tight, but I still think you look under. And I'd be on Rutgers as well. It's just a lean for me. I haven't bet it like you have. So lean Rutgers as well.
All right, lean Rutgers for Conor Mack. Let's go to another Big Ten matchup here, Purdue and Ohio State. We've got in this one, Ohio State 1.5-point home favorites, 139 at the top. I like the Buckeyes here. I do. I think the Buckeyes are the right side. I think they're going to get the home win in this game. I think they've got the size and the length and the low post to really bother Edey. You're not going to completely shut down that guy, but I think Ohio State's got the personnel necessary to at least keep him in check a little bit. Like I said, you're not going to completely shut him down, but you're at least going to bother him a little bit, maybe get him in foul trouble as well. And that makes all the difference in the world when you play Purdue. The Boilermakers haven't necessarily played nearly as good. They just got beaten by Rutgers. They're on a terrible point spread slide. They've been brutal ATS lately, Purdue, showing that they're a little bit of an overvalued commodity right now. And you look at Ohio State, Purdue in the past, they've had Jaden Ivey and some really good guard play. They had Edwards before that, Carson Edwards, if you go back years ago. They don't have, I don't think, that backcourt like they've had in the past. And a great point, Sam, now just mentioning what I'm speaking of too. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is as good.
They got the better guards.
And Ohio State certainly does have the edge in terms of the backcourt matchup in this game. And I think they've got that length to bother Edey in the low post. Put it all together, cheap price, pick 'em range at home. I like Ohio State here in this game. What do you think here, Conor Mack?
Yeah, they're not going to stop the big man like you were mentioned. He's going to get his, but I do, like you just mentioned with Sam, McNeil, Sensabaugh, Thornton, all these guys can shoot it well. They're good off the dribble. They're well at home. So I'm on Ohio State too. I already bet it, 1.5. Total, though, I think I'm going to stay off. Ohio State over team for me. On the flip side, Purdue playing a lot towards the under, not covering. But I'll just be on Ohio State with you here. Shout out to my guy, Vince Ramirez, $10 dono. We got to hit up the train if we have it. I don't know. It
We'd
might
love
be
to see it.
lost.
The train has
I
been
think.
stuck at the station for months now. I don't even know if it's still around, but nevertheless, we appreciate it.
Ah,
Vincent
someone's
Ramirez,
kicked off
$10
our train,
dono.
but here,
We'll do we'll do our
bang.
own little
You fucking go. Oh, hell yeah, Vincent.
See, we
guy.
innovate here at the at Net Profit Show. We don't stay stuck in neutral, no pun intended. But thank you very much, Vincent. And yeah, it was a great night last night. Providence, I know that was one of Conor's best bets. They went outright against UConn. He even said money line sprinkle, and they got the job done against UConn. My best bet was Wake and North Carolina over the total. That game flew over the total, so it was a very good night overall yesterday. So, like I say, the best bets have been good. And overall, the show opinions, even the non-best bets on the show, it's been a nice week. It's been a good run with the plays, and we'll hope we can keep it going here tonight. Yes, I am on Ohio State. These first two games, they are bets for me, the favorites in both the Big Ten games, Rutgers and Ohio State. And looks like whispers around town, if you will, are that the boss man, Jeff Slaughter's been doing some giveaways today, and he's got one coming up on this show as well. So stay tuned. We got some cash giveaways coming up from our guy, Jeff Slaughter. So stay tuned. There we go. Speak of the devil. His ears were burning. I see him in the chat right now. Let's do another giveaway. Here it is. Get this video to 60 likes. There's 90 people in here, so there should already be 60 likes.
For 100.
Exactly. Get this video to 60 likes and then type in the chat slick back for, and is that my hair? Is that slick back? Because you're right.
Slick back, a little Pat Riley action.
It is. A little comment about my hair there, Jeff. But yeah, slick back for entry. Picking two winners to win $50 for members only today. So there you go. Two winners to win $50 each and you got to be a member. And it's only and it's cheap, $4.99 a month. We're talking 18 cents a month to be a member. So there you go. Get involved, become a Pub Sports Radio channel YouTube member. Again, just $4.99 a month, 18 cents a day. It's all it costs you for it. So
real quick,
involved with that.
Shout out to our guy Rocco. I mean, you might have heard some opinions, maybe just from online or on Twitter or whatever, but I guarantee you some public is on Purdue. Could Purdue go in there and win this basketball game? For sure. I just think basically Ohio State's got to win it, and I think they get it done. Shout out to my guy Topset Elio in here. I'm glad you can make it. Yeah, almost perfect night. Half a point hook with Duke there. That was the only one last night, but let's try to keep it rolling.
Yeah, that was. Oh, you're talking about the total. Yeah, I mean
the total,
144.5. Yeah,
I would have swept the board all the way around. Yeah,
but that's tough. Hey, what can you do? It is what it is with that. All right, so let's move on now. We've got Washington State, Arizona State, Pac-12 action here. We've got Arizona State 4-point home favorites, 131 the total in this game. You look at Arizona State, obviously got off to, they had some pretty nice results earlier on in the season. We talked about how Bob Hurley's team has played a lot better in terms of defensive basketball this season compared to years past. But they've lost two in a row now coming into this game at San Francisco against the Dons. They got just destroyed. 97-60 was really an anomaly from them defensively because honestly, outside of that, they played some pretty good defense. Then they lost 69-60 at home against Arizona in their last game. We'll see how they fare here tonight, hosting Washington State, who are coming off a very nice home win against USC, 81-71. Competitive with UCLA, 67-66 loss at home before that. If you actually look back, 4-point loss to UNLV, 6-point loss to Baylor on neutral courts as well. I'm thinking this is a tight game, and I kind of like the road underdog here. And if you think back to Arizona State the last few years, how many times have we seen them start off strong and then just fall apart once we get into January and February and March and Pac-12 season rolls along and they just don't play as well? Is this the start of another fucking mess of a season after January for Arizona State? I mean, it has been like clockwork that every year this team doesn't play as well once we get into the new year. And I'm starting to worry about that again. I mean, you lose to Arizona, that's fine. Arizona's a great team. They could win a national title this year. But you get blown out by San Francisco in that game, totally non-competitive. You start to worry, is Arizona State going to have another one of these deals where they're floundering as Pac-12 play goes along? Maybe. Either way, I don't want to lay the points. I would lean Washington State. What do you think here, Connor?
I don't want anything in this game. Well, Arizona State's been good to me so far this year. You mentioned, do they start to crumble a little bit,
Yep.
in conference
Worried.
play?
Yep.
That'll be, the big difference here. Both teams are pretty slow. They're decent, efficient, but Washington State's super slow. If I had to lean to the total, I'd lean under, but yeah, I'm way off this bad boy.
All right. Remember, 60 likes. We got to get there for the giveaway. Two YouTube channel members for Pub Sports Radio
Hit
are
the
going to get
damn like
$50.
button. Holy
So there you
shit.
go. Yeah,
Isn't
hit
like
that
money
like
around
button.
here? Come
I
on.
know, $50 right in your pocket, potentially. I mean, and all you got to do is hit the damn like button. Thumbs up. That's all it takes. All right. Next up, we've got North Texas, Western Kentucky. It is a good one here. We've got in the Conference USA. You know what? I should have put Florida Atlantic UAB onto the game list. It is a great game, and I totally glossed over it, but that should be on the game list too. But we will talk about that after we get through the marquee games for sure. We will talk Florida Atlantic UAB. That is a great game. Two really good teams in that conference. But for now, North Texas and Western Kentucky. Here we've got North Texas 4-point road favorites, 121 the total. I like North Texas here. I think North Texas has kind of dominated this Western Kentucky team as well. I don't know. I'm just not feeling Western Kentucky like I have in the past. They used to have pretty good guard play overall. Hollingsworth always was pretty good player for this Western Kentucky team. They had the big man, of course, that was a big stalwart for this team. But now all of a sudden, I just worry about where they're at right now. Bassey, that was his name, Charles Bassey. He was a great player for the Hilltoppers. I don't know if I'm liking what I'm seeing out of this team as much. They've lost 4 in a row. They've been struggling. They've lost at home. When you lose at home to Rice, you've got issues, okay? Rice doesn't defend, and somehow Western Kentucky lost to this team. North Texas playing good ball. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. Again, in terms of head-to-head, North Texas wins and covers on the road at Western Kentucky last year, 65-60. I don't see what changes. North Texas better basketball team here. I'll lay the 4 with them and the mean green. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I'm not going to lay it with North Texas, even though I do think they probably win this game. I haven't been enamored with Western Kentucky at all. This total is tight. I still think it goes under. Because to me, I bet the under in this one. You mentioned last year's game. It just trickled over. And maybe look first half then. That total's 57 if you're worried about, foul trouble. Both these teams are very good. And we know North Texas, dead last. Pace, their offense, 351. Field goal percentage, 347. They hold the ball. It's 6 seconds. It seems like every dish around. On the flip side, Western Kentucky, decent defensively, though, have some good shot blockers. They're 10th in the country. So even at 122, too high here. I think this one should have been like 118, 117. So under here.
All right, under the total here for Connor. And you're right. I mean, 125 last year between these two teams. It's not like it flew over the total. I mean, and definitely defense should be part of the equation here with these two teams, no question tonight. All right, Cincinnati and Wichita State. We go to the AAC for this matchup here between these two teams. Man, there's so many games here. I'm losing my space here in terms of where the line is here. All right, here we go. Cincinnati, Wichita State, 2-point road favorites here. Cincinnati, 135 the total in this game. I like the Bearcats here. I agree with the move. This Wichita State team does not scare me, certainly not offensively. We know they go in droughts. We've talked about this every time a Wichita State game comes up on our show, Connor Mack. How many times do we talk about how their offense seems to bog down and struggle, and they don't make shots half the time? I mean, these last 2 offensive performances, East Carolina and UCF, pretty brutal. 24 of 56 against ECU, 14 of 40 shooting against Central Florida in the 2 losses. So they're just not a good offensive team. And yeah, you can play defense all you want, but at some point you got to put the biscuit in the basket. They can't do it. They're really banged up and depleted as well, this Wichita State team. Injuries galore. Quincy Ballard, the center, questionable. Cluster injuries at the backcourt with Craig Porter Jr., with Jaquan Walton and Melvion Flanagan. Melvion Flanagan doesn't look like he's going to play. He's got a concussion. He's downgraded to doubtful. Jaquan Walton's questionable. Looks like Craig Porter Jr. will play. He's been upgraded, but I mean, they are still a very banged up, riddled team right now. The Shockers, I get it, they're at home. That home court can be pretty tough sometimes, but they're only 5-4 this year at home. You look at Cincinnati, they are 0-2 in true road games. I guess that's the one concern, but I think they can overcome this here. It's just a depleted offensively due to injuries, offensively challenged Wichita team. I think as long as it stays in the pick'em range, it's been bet up from 1-2. I think the Bearcats get the win. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, they might, but man, I don't want to bet Cincinnati, not on the road, even though this is short. And you mentioned, though, Wichita State dealing with a bunch of injuries. The flip side, Cincinnati's been better scoring this year. Will that continue now in the conference play? I've seen that kind of a little bit in the past, but they've been good against the number. I mean, I don't blame you. I think they're 8-1 the last 9 ATS. When I always see these two teams, I lean under, but with the injuries, I'm going to be off. I'm out of here. I'm off this one.
All right, we've hit the 60 likes. We appreciate that, everybody. About time. That's all I got to say. I'm happy, but I'm like, it's about time.
We should have 100
right away.
Come on now.
We should have it right away. We should have more, honestly. But thank you. We got the 60 likes that was asked of all of you. So thank you for that. Reminder, how to enter Slick Back. Just post Slick Back in the chat, and you will be entered. And you must be a YouTube channel member for Pub Sports Radio. If you are, type Slick Back in the chat, and you will be entered into the draw, which we will do at the end of the marquee game section of the show for two $50 winners coming up. So it's very simple. Looking forward to that, and we'll see who gets the two lucky members that get the $50 here later in the show. All right, Indiana, Iowa, Big Ten action here coming up. We've got Iowa 1.5 point home favorites, 153 the total in this game. I'll be damned if I'm laying points with Iowa. I mean, this is a team that's just no way. This has been a 2 weeks from hell for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They have that all-time embarrassment of a loss against Eastern Illinois, one of the biggest favorites in recent college basketball memory to lose outright. 31-point favorites at home to Eastern Illinois, and they give up 92 points in that game. They get drubbed by Nebraska on the road by 16. They lose at Penn State 83-79. They were at least a little more competitive in that game, but they still end up losing. The defense is falling apart. Even offensively, how did they only score 50 against Nebraska? I mean, it's just everything is coming apart a little bit for this team. Ogundele is questionable for Iowa. Josh Ogundele, and the son of the coach, Patrick McCaffrey, has apparently left the team for now because of anxiety. You know what? I don't blame him, actually. Anxiety. I'd have anxiety if fucking Fran McCaffrey's
from losing
my father, and he's coaching my team. I'd have anxiety too. That guy can't coach. I'm serious. He's just not someone that I would be looking to get as my head coach of a basketball team. He's a hothead. He gets just he was yelling at the refs half the time. He has not gotten Iowa to do anything in terms of stepping up and winning in the tournament. So I don't want Iowa here in this game. I could only look at the Indiana side, but Indiana is banged up. And of course, the big one being Trace Jackson Davis. He's missed the last 2 games for the Hoosiers. Will he play tonight? And you look at what they've done on the road, not rushing to bet Indiana. So I can't take Iowa. I'd take Indiana if I had to. They lost by 22 at Kansas, lost by 15 at Rutgers. Non-competitive in either recent true road game that they've played. So I'm really not rushing to take Indiana either. So this is probably going to end up being a pass for me as far as the side goes. I like the over, though. I think Indiana is still going to be able to score on this Iowa team. And I do think Iowa back home, they've got a pretty good shot here to score points. And the one thing about Indiana is they will trade buckets. And if you look at the road games, the Kansas game, they gave up 84. They'll probably give up some points here in this one. I think it goes over the total. Both meetings last year went over the total as well. 83-74, 80-77. Both got into the high 150s. And high 150s will cash a ticket here with the total here. So more than either side, I like the over 151.5 here, Indiana, Iowa. Conor, it looks like his face is all scrambled. It's like it's like one of those people you're trying to arrest, and they got the checker boxes on his face. That's what it looks like right now, Conor. But I think we can hear you though. So keep going. What do you think here, Indiana, Iowa?
All right, I'll jump out. Everything's clear for me. Let me know in the chat. Yeah, I think Jackson Davis is a go. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, McCaffrey leaving his son. That's a little wild. I think there might be points. I was just shot it horrible the last few games. Normally, this would be a spot for them to win, and I don't back them much. They come back home, but they've just been pathetic. horrible defensively, all that good stuff. So I'm off this one. I will refresh.
All right, yeah, we'll let Conor exit and re-enter. Yeah, Cox, fucking Cox again. The Cox cable in Las Vegas acting up maybe. All right, USC and UCLA Pac-12 action here. Great matchup tonight. UCLA 11-point home favorites, 137 the total. I agree. This number was a bit too high when it opened, and money's come in on USC. I kind of agree with it. I like the points here with the Trojans. I think we get a competitive game. USC did not play well in their last game, but we know they're better than that. They lost 81-71 at Washington State. If you really look at USC, UCLA, I mean, UCLA beat them by 10 March 11th. Before that, it was a 7-point win for UCLA. Before that, it was a USC victory. It was a USC win by 1 before that. USC win by 18 before that. USC win by 2. USC win by 11. You have to go all the way back to 2018, which was 10 head-to-head matchups ago, when UCLA beat USC by more than 10 points. So it looks like you're getting too many points here, in my opinion. I think USC off the loss too. I think you get them roaring back strong here, playing their best. The one thing you know about USC here is, they've got some size down low. They didn't have the greatest defensive game, but that USC interior defense, I think, should be able to do some damage here and be better in this game. And again, just when you look at UCLA, for as well as the Bruins are playing right now, and they're playing some excellent basketball, they have definitely not always had it easy against their cross-city rivals here, USC. So the money's come in on the Trojans, 14 down to 11. I do agree with it here. I think a few too many points, and we have a more competitive game than this point spread indicates. What do you think here, Conor? It's a good one, USC, UCLA.
Am I clear finally? There's a bad storm here in Vegas. It's been a long time since I went out. Cox has been actually pretty good for about the last year almost, but fuck Cox.
Yeah.
They say hashtag fuck Cox. I like the guy who put that in the chat. I thought that it's just shrunk. If you got this when it opened, 14-13, I do think it's too much. UCLA playing great, but rivalry game, I want the points in this one. But I'm off. I also like the under. This has crashed down a little bit too far. The Trojans are very good. UCLA, all the, Hawkes, the whole Clark, he needs to be better. He's been kind of inconsistent lately. UCLA wins, but I don't know if they cover in this one. Maybe similar to North Carolina, last night. They could pull away, but I don't want to lay points. That's too big here.
Yeah, I agree. Just a few too many points. I think we have ourselves a competitive matchup here in this one, USC and UCLA. This is on ESPN, this game. Guaranteed Bill Walton will be doing it. This has got to be a Bill Walton game tonight with USC and UCLA. So you're going to get lots of hijinks there in that one. Come on, man, that's a foul, please. He always says in so many of these, he'll talk about Grateful Dead or something. Yeah, just always hijinks when Bill Walton's on. Probably him and Dave Pasch. It wouldn't shock
you. Got to keep him for UCLA games, late night, Pac-12 too. No prime time for Walton and his age, but
this will be a Bill Walton special for sure, this game. All right, next up, we've got Oregon State and Utah. In this one, we've got Utah 13.5, 14-point home favorites in this one, 130.5 being the total in this game. This one's an interesting one here. Utah certainly on their home floor, we know is very tough to beat. It could be that way here once again tonight against Oregon State. No question about that. Well, on the flip side, Oregon State 0-3 straight up on the road, a mediocre up and down type of team. And it seems like although they did cover the number last time against Oregon, 77-68 on the road, a lot of points here to be laying with Utah. If you look at head-to-head matchups between these two teams, Utah did absolutely roll Oregon State 84-59 last year when these teams played. But Oregon State beat them on their home floor 88-76. Oddly enough, this has actually been a higher scoring series than we've become accustomed to. And look, Oregon State was on a strong trend toward unders. That was broken by the game against Oregon in their last game. I think with where this total is 130 and a half, I'm going to take a shot with the over. Based on series history, it's trended that way. It's a modest total, 130. I know Oregon State, especially early in the year, trouble scoring, but they did score 68. 68 for them is good. against Oregon. I think it's fair to say Utah will score into the 70s. They will put up points at home. They put up 71 against TCU, 91 against UTSA. They will score points at home. They will get into the 70s, probably the mid 70s. If you get 60 or 65 out of Oregon State, it's going to go over the total. We're talking 130 and a half. So that's what I like in this game, over the total of a very low number. It's not like we're asking for a shootout here. What do you think here, Connor?
Maybe it is too low. Yeah, and probably Utah does get into the 70s, but this Oregon State offense is, wow. This is a struggle to watch. Paint dry at times. I watched them here late night. I think the line's pretty, spot on here. I think it's a little bit too much for me to lay with Utah. Always better at home. We know that. And Oregon State worse on the road, but it's just stretched out too far. And I lean under, but it's just a little low for me here too. This seems like one for me to move on that would have been maybe a few weeks ago, 136, something like that. And I looked to the under, but too low at 130.
All right, Gonzaga and San Francisco. We've got Gonzaga 9.5 point road favorites, 156.5 the total in this one. Very good West Coast Conference matchup. San Francisco, we always think at times that San Francisco, are they ready to take that next step? Are they ready to show that they can finally beat Gonzaga? And they've been close, on a couple of occasions. But then they've also had some instances where they've gotten absolutely blown out by Gonzaga. So they're not quite there yet. I mean, when you look at Gonzaga, they absolutely destroyed Pepperdine in their last game, 111 to 88. Now they're into conference play. But I find if you're going to take Gonzaga, it's not the worst idea in the world to take them on the road instead of at home, because at home they're laying bigger numbers. You're paying more of a premium when they're at the Kennel. And if you actually look, the last two times they've went to San Francisco to play the Dons, they won those two games by 16 and by 39 points. I mean, they blew out the Dons by double digits in both games. So I can't say I'm in a rush to take San Francisco, given that series history. The last two times they played at home, only getting 9.5 in this game. I think this is about as close to closing the gap on Gonzaga as San Francisco's been in a long time. But at the same point in time, I'm still not ready to trust them, especially with them coming off back-to-back losses against Santa Clara and San Diego. Did not play well on the defensive end of the basketball court in either of those games. 79 allowed to Santa Clara, almost 50% shooting. Nearly that as well against San Diego, the Toreros, who put up 80 on this San Francisco team. I'd probably look at the over rather than either side here in this game. By the way, the two meetings in San Francisco, the last couple of seasons, we got 162 and 161 in terms of points in both of those games. So if it gets into the 160s again here, we cash a ticket, and I think we will, over the total for me. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, Gonzaga, almost 87 a game. They don't have a great defense. Can San Francisco, Shabazz, all these guys, Meeks hit shots? They just seem to go hot and cold. If they're in shots, I think they could be in it. But this is not enough. I've seen those last couple of games I've watched. That's ugly. They looked ugly, and they gave up 80 to those teams. San Diego. You got to think Gonzaga gets to 85 or 90 at least. So, yeah, high total, but I think it still might get there. But I'm off this one. I can't even take San Francisco right now. Maybe it's a bounce back, but I need more here.
All right, no problem there. All right, next up, we got two games left in the marquee games. And by the way, after the marquee games, we're going to do the draw for the $250 free giveaway winners. Again, slick back in the chat. And it only works if you're a Pub Sports Radio YouTube channel member. That's very important. Exactly.
For the members. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Perks. That's why you become a member. It's $4.99 a month, and you're eligible to be in these cash giveaway contests. So there you go. BYU and Loyola Marymount. We've got Pick'em -1. Loyola Marymount 144.5 the total in this game. You look at this matchup here. BYU on the road, Pick'em price range. No, thank you. I think Loyola Marymount, obviously they had a tough game against, I think Pacific's pretty good though. 78-72 loss to a Pacific, but they beat Portland before that. They had a 12-point win at home. They're actually 6-1 at home this year, Loyola Marymount. Here they're playing BYU. And if you look at actually the way they've played BYU the last year, 3 meetings, BYU got them pretty good at home, 79-59. They also had an 85-60 win, domination.
They've owned them.
Over Loyola Marymount. They have owned them. But the one meeting at Loyola Marymount's home court last year, and BYU escaped 83-82. It was an overtime win for BYU in that game. So, yes, they have dominated this series. But I think Loyola Marymount here, I'm interested in them to win this basketball game. Keep in mind, too, you've got Trevin Nell still banged up for BYU. He's going to be out till middle of February. I think one of the key matchups here, if you look at this for Loyola Marymount, is their ability to penetrate inside. That could really, punish BYU a little bit. BYU has been their usual, so-so defensive type of performance from them. They're not good defending the three either. 35% from three-point range allowed, 278th in the country. And Loyola Marymount can make the perimeter shots. They are a well above average three-point shooting team. I think Loyola can win it. I know BYU's had the better of it in this series. I think this is a chance for LMU to finally get the better of the Cougars. I don't think the Cougars are as good this year. They missed Barcelo. They've had better teams, I think, than this year's group. I like the Lions here at a pick 'em. What do you think here, Connor?
I thought that right away too. And you mentioned the history wasn't good. BYU 3 straight unders, but I think this game gets over. This 144. Now I think we get back to an over because Loyola's defense isn't great. Then you flip it. They've been great at home, like you mentioned. 6-0 ATS. They've been really great. One thing that they're not laying a number, obviously pick them, is they're horrible at the free throw line. I was going through a few teams here. Loyola 312, 65%. I know it's just a pick 'em, so I lean Loyola, but I don't want a team like that in crunch time. So I just got to keep it as a lean. And both. I lean Loyola and the over.
I would agree with the over, too. I would go in that direction as well for the total here. All right, the final game of this, of the marquee games anyway for the show today, Washington, Arizona, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Arizona, 18.5-point home favorites, 154, 154.5 is your total in this game. Arizona, from a point spread standpoint, they're only either 13-1, but they're only straight up, but they're only 7-7 against the spread. So you haven't exactly always gotten a bargain with this team. How will they fare here? They're coming off the win against their state rivals, Arizona State, 69-60 on the road this past weekend. They're playing a Washington team that it's been real rough for Washington the last 3 games. Mike Hopkins' team has really struggled offensively, especially. I mean, if they only score, they've only scored 67, if 67's been the most points they've scored the last 3 games, if they only score 67 tonight, they aren't covering because I think Arizona is probably going to get well into the 80s against this team, and they're going to have a hard time covering the number if they're going to struggle offensively like that here tonight. What's also a worry for me here with Arizona, or with Washington rather, is when you look at their defensive numbers on the season, their 2-point defense so far, Washington hasn't been good, and they've got to deal with Ballo and Tubelis, 2 big forces down low for the Wildcats. Could be an issue. And the number 1 ranked 2-point percentage offense in all of college basketball right now is the Arizona Wildcats. So I would look toward either a combination of over 154 or even just isolate the Arizona team total over. But that's probably the 2 directions I would look at in this game. Maybe split it up, because the one thing you'd be concerned about with going over 154 is what are you going to get from Washington, at the offensive end of the basketball court. That's the biggest fear you would have. That being said, last year's 2 meetings, Connor, 95-79 Arizona, 92-68 Arizona. So Arizona got into the 90s, and it didn't matter what Washington scored. The game still ended up going over the total. So both meetings, the full game over cashed, and whatever the Arizona team total over was in both of those head-to-head meetings against Washington, it also cashed. So that's why I like both of those here tonight. Team total over for Arizona and the full game. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, it's a ton of points. That's what I circled. If you think Arizona gets to 90, it's mostly 86 and 87.5. Most places. I think they can. Where Washington's just been bad. They can't score. They've been bad on the glass, and Arizona's been very good. This Washington team, 280s defensive, offensive on the glass. Arizona's been good, especially on the offensive glass, 5th. So, yeah, I looked at that team total, but I don't want anything to do with it. Seems like a good bounce back, but Washington's been good in covering the last few years. They just seem like everything's unraveling a little bit with this team. injuries as well. Whether it's Fuller, a lot of these guys have been out and they're not coming back.
Yeah, shout out to Nasty Nate and the Providence Friars. Just an outstanding performance last night at home against Connecticut. Great win for Ed Cooley and his bunch. I hope you enjoy. I know you enjoyed that. I don't want to have to say hope you enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it, Nasty Nate. So great performance there from those Providence Friars last night for sure. All right, so those are the marquee games. I think we are just about ready to find out who our two lucky winners are of the $50 free giveaway. There it is, the Wheel of Fortune for two people, the Wheel of Misfortune for everyone else. But here we go. We're about to find out. And Jose, behind the scenes, he's going to spin that wheel for us. Let's go. All right, here we go. All right, here's the first one coming up. The wheel has come to a stop, and it's Smith Legacy, the first of our two $50 giveaway winners. Congrats, Smith Legacy. Great stuff there. All right, there we go. There's our first winner. Congrats to you,
my friend.
One. Yep. All right.
Okay.
Here's our second winner. We'll spin that wheel again.
Joey.
It's going to be Joey Harb. There he is. I see Joey in the chat a lot, so a very deserving
both
winner
guys
there. Joey Harb, congratulations. And Smith Legacy to our two $50 winners. We appreciate it very much, you guys tuning in. And there you go. That's all it takes.
Yeah, hit the like. It should be at 100 easily right now with over 180 in here. Come on.
Yep. There you go. All right, Smith Legacy and Joey Harb, congratulations.
Real quick.
A giveaway. And by the way, yes, I should tell them, DM
Sports
the
Radio.
Sports Radio Twitter. Yep, to claim your prize, claim your $50. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. DM Pub Sports Radio Twitter to claim your $50 and just mention who you are. And there you go. It'll be sent to you. So there we go. Always fun when we have a show with the giveaway when our Jeff Slaughter in a giving mood. There you go. And we congratulate our two winners. All right. Speaking of winners, let's see what other winners we can find, Conor Mack, on this college basketball board. Games we haven't talked about, Conor. What are you looking at tonight?
Yeah, I'll run through quick. I'll flip this one back to you after this one. It's a lean for me with Charlotte. I don't trust FIU. I know Charlotte can struggle to score. They've had some crazy outbursts. I don't get it. Usually I want a dog, me at home, catching 5, but I just think they've been horrible. So I lean Charlotte there. I'll throw this one to you, the UAB, FAU. Take it away, and then I'll go through the rest. We didn't get to talk about it.
Yeah, this is a great game, and I actually if I had paid attention and realized they were playing tonight at the moment when I put the list of games together, I would have included. This is a great game. You got 12-2 UAB, and shockingly a 12-1. Not shockingly, but I think I expected Florida Atlantic to be better this year. I didn't necessarily expect 12-1. I didn't necessarily expect them to beat North Texas on the road. That was a very impressive win, 50-46. They have clearly established themselves as a force in this conference and a contender in this conference. No question about that. But now they're playing a UAB team. I don't love going against UAB as an underdog, but at the same time, we're talking about Florida Atlantic's undefeated at home. They're chomping at the bit. They already beat one of the more upper echelon teams in the conference, North Texas. They beat a very good defensive team in that game against North Texas. Can they beat an excellent offensive team, which we know UAB is, but we also know UAB can be a little shaky at times defensively. They've shown that on occasion this season. It's a great matchup. I'm looking forward to it playing out. There is one injury concern on UAB's side here for this game. Ladarius Brewer is questionable. He does give you 8.4 points per game. Does give you some rebounds as well. So we'll see if he'll be missed here for them. I think something else you want to factor in, though, too, is Florida Atlantic's one little weakness is not great at the free throw line. UAB is very good at the free throw line. It is something you want to factor in. I think from a spot, it kind of feels like this is one of those short home favorite spots where I want to back Florida Atlantic, but I don't want to go against Jelly. Jelly Walker's the best player on the court for either team. They're a slight dog.
Flat score,
if it's close late, that guy could make a shot and a big time play to win the game for his team. So I'm leaning FAU, but I'm not going to bet FAU here in this one. I'm going to look more at this total. I think FAU is a very good offensive team, and we know UAB is. No question about that. Both teams are. I think we see this game get into the 150s. I like it over the total. We saw 80 to 66 last year when these teams met head to head. But again, I think FAU has really improved offensively compared to last year. Last year, they had trouble scoring at times. That's not the case this year. I think this game can reach the 150s, which is all we need. So rather than a side, I like over 149, 149 and a half here. Conor, any thoughts on one of the games of the night and certainly in the mid-majors, UAB, Florida Atlantic?
Yeah, they need to, shut down Walker if they can. He still probably gets, to 20. UAB, I struggle with this. It's moved already, from 4-2, and they've just not been good on the road. That's the one thing that gets me. And I've been impressed with FAU this year. Good wins against Florida. You go through it. I thought that gritty win against North Texas, 50-46, just last week, was solid. And the lone thing, though, the free throws are big. But they are the better defensive team. So it is short now. I think for me, I'm going to watch this one. I'm not, I'm just kind of going back and forth. So just a watch for me there.
Yeah, very good game. I like the over there in that game. Lean FAU side, but not going to bet FAU side. All right, Conor, other games you like? Anything else where we didn't get to?
Yeah, I just real quick had a lean with UT Arlington. I like the under in Hawaii, UC San Diego 127. Hawaii unders have been money. I think that game is low scoring. People have been talking about it. I think this game's solid. Santa Clara Pepperdine. I think Santa Clara has the better defense in the end. Pepperdine's played them well at home. I still think Santa Clara can win there. And this line's flipped a little bit in it. But every total's gone over between these two teams. And I think even at 152, you can get it. It gets over here. The one that didn't was, I believe, 78-70. It just was short. I think we're back to up and down. Pepperdine's defense. We just saw Gonzaga score, 115 on them or something like that. They do play better at home. Pepperdine shoots the three well, 38%. Santa Clara, in the end, just a little bit better. So I think I'll be on the total, and I lean Santa Clara in that one. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I like Santa Clara. That's actually one of the plays, and I'll rhyme off a bunch that I'm liking here. I like Hofstra Hampton over 151 in that game. I actually think Hampton might be worth a look as a home underdog, too. I'm not ready to trust Hofstra, especially this year. Kind of up and down for them as double-digit road favorites in that game. What else have we got here? I'm just seeing what else. Oh, yeah, I like Nebraska, Omaha, Western Illinois. I kind of like Western Illinois there. I mean, Nebraska, Omaha's had a really tough season, so I think Western Illinois, the Leathernecks laying 4 might be the side to look at there in that game. You got Drexel and Towson. Towson definitely, I know that they're the better of those two teams. I was hoping for a better number, but I still lean to the home favorite there, Towson over Drexel. Drexel just hasn't been able to get their shit together. Southern Miss, I'm always interested in them. They've been a point spread machine this year. Excellent defensive team. Southern Miss +3 against UL Lafayette. I'm interested in that side. Louisiana Tech Rice, I like the over there. It doesn't take much for me to like a over in a Rice game. They just don't play great defense necessarily. So over the total there, Louisiana Tech and Rice. There are a couple unders I like. Someone asked, and one of them would probably be Denver St. Thomas. I think they're right to bet that under in that game. St. Thomas has been actually very, very impressive, better than I thought they would be this season, but stopping short a little bit of laying 6.5 with them in that game. I like Eastern Illinois a little bit against Tennessee Tech. Eastern Illinois, now I know Iowa's kind of falling apart, but still to beat Iowa, you're doing something right. This team is turning a bit of a corner. Eastern Illinois starting to play slowly a little bit better, maybe a little undervalued now, just as they're starting to improve as a team. So I like them getting 4.5 at Tennessee Tech in that game. I like Texas Arlington. I think Conor Mack hinted at that as well. Home underdog there against Utah Valley. I think Texas Arlington's a good side to look at there. Portland State, Eastern Washington. I mean, you should see points in that game. Pace both ways. I like over Portland State, Eastern Washington. Oregon and Colorado. We did not talk this game. I like Colorado a little bit as much as I like Oregon, and they usually get better as things go along in the season. Colorado at home, I think, could get the job done there, minus the 2.5. Conor, did you have anything there in that one?
No, Colorado's struggling. This seems like,
yeah,
I would take Colorado. They have just not been good these last few. Stanford kind of stole that game from them. They haven't looked great. bad free throw shooting team is Colorado. That keeps me off as well. I think they're 310. Don't shoot it well at the end of games, but usually at home, this is where you want them. Tough trip always to go, do this with Oregon, that trip to Boulder and then to Utah. So I think I'm going to be off, even though I lean Colorado.
Yeah, I got to see more from Oregon, before I'm ready to back them away from Eugene right now. And it is kind of a desperation spot here for Colorado tonight. You mentioned Santa Clara, Pepperdine. Santa Clara is the side I'd like. The over's taking money. I agree with that as well. I like Pacific +6 against San Diego. I like Cal Baptist a little bit, -6 against Utah Tech in that game. I like Long Beach a little bit, -5.5, -6 against Northridge. Fullerton's been bet down against Riverside. I agree. I think that's a live dog there. That's the main board. The added board, I like Queens in the over against Bellarmine. I like the Wagner Stonehill over. What else have we got there? I like Bryant a little bit, +4 against Vermont. I know Bryant hasn't necessarily been nearly as strong this season, but Vermont, you could say that about Vermont too. I mean, remember, they got off to a real slow start this season. Navy and Colgate. Colgate's starting to light it up now big time, and Navy's been all over the place. I kind of am always interested in Navy when they're catching points, but I don't know if I want to step in front of Colgate right now, starting to play good. I really like the over in Eastern Kentucky, Central Arkansas, but so does everybody else. They've gotten to this number. It opened 156. Total now is like 161.5 with Eastern. I mean, Eastern Kentucky's, and like I cashed with Eastern Kentucky over the other night earlier this week, and they just continue to fly over the total. But again, everybody else is picking up on that because the total's moved up 5 points. I still like the over though there. That's about it.
Yeah, I didn't have a ton. We'll get to it. Tease American. Do you have anything there? I'm off that game. American Holy Cross.
Yeah, American's playing really good basketball, but Holy Cross is playing better lately. And
they're at home.
They had and they're home dog. I'm kind of liking the Holy Cross side there, honestly. And it's not easy to go against American right now. But yeah, Western Kentucky is on the hell no list tonight, Star Child. I like North Texas there. Watch this be the make show up, Western Kentucky. But no, I laid the 4 with the Mean Green.
I didn't have much on the extra board. There's a few unders I was looking at, the Jacksonville, but I like Jacksonville State Liberty. I think Liberty might get to the 70s, but I think the game stays under. Jacksonville State just horrible offensively, under 127.5 there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Under. Oh yeah, Long Island, Brooklyn, and Central Connecticut. I think that could go over the total as well. 142.5 is the total in that game. So that's one I'd consider as well in that one. I think Army might beat Loyola. Actually, I do like Army against Loyola Maryland as well. Army in a pick and price range there. I know it's on the road for the Keydets there, but I think they can get the for the Cadets, I should say. We don't want to mix them up with VMI, but no, Army, the Army Black Knights, I think they can get the job done there on the road. Yeah, I'm with you, Nathan Serna. I mentioned that earlier. I like Western Illinois there against a really, really bad Omaha team in that game. Good stuff. Montana and Northern Arizona. Jake Burns asking about that one. Let's see if the lines moved a little bit because I knew it was moving a little bit earlier.
2.5, 3.
It moved up 2 to 3. I mean, Montana should win. Northern Arizona, though, at times has shocked me when I didn't expect them to. So, but I agree. I think Montana is definitely the lean for me there. I think they're a better team.
Better team as well. Northern Arizona seems like, they shock it in conference. They always just get railroaded early in the year against these, big schools. I kind of lean under. It's already got hit, though, by 3 points. But I still think it could maybe stay under that 137.5.
Yeah, South Dakota State, I almost bet them. They have kind of been disappointing, but North Dakota State's been pretty bad, too. I figure this is buy low on the Jackrabbits, but I didn't have the guts to do it. So I leaned South Dakota State, but I didn't bet it there.
Same for me.
Asked us about that. There we go. Yeah, Loyola Maryland's awful. I do like Army to beat them there tonight as well. What else have we got here? I think we've hit James Madison. That's the one. James Madison. People were asking about that. Look, they were for a long period of time there, just lighting up the scoreboard, covering big numbers, and things were just coming very easily for them. And they are still 10-2 ATS. James Madison. It's been impressive, but the point production has slowed down. Their defense has actually picked up. Texas State. The one thing about Texas State is they slow it down and they don't usually get beaten by margin. And if you actually look at it, Sam Houston State's a damn good team. They only lost by 7. ULM only lost by 4. Troy only lost by 3. I'm not sure I'm comfortable laying a full 12 with James Madison there in that game. And speaking of Sam Houston, I know they're playing tonight. I did want to mention that game, Sam Houston State and Grand Canyon. They're betting the hell out of Grand Canyon, not me. In fact, now at 3, I like Sam Houston. What has Sam Houston done to be bet against so heavily? They're playing really good basketball, the Bearcats of Sam Houston State. Offensively, they've been very efficient. I think this is as good as I've seen them play on the defensive end of the court. I like Sam Houston now at a good number, -3. Now that they've 5.5 when it opened, no, but down to 3 now. I'm more interested in that side with Sam Houston.
Tough game. Yeah, it's come down. They say 3 everywhere. It's just weird. All the money on Sam Houston, whether it's the tickets or the money, this thing's come down 2.5. But it should be a good game. And I think Grand Canyon hasn't played that well this year, like you were talking about. So I'll be off though in the end.
I like Maine a little bit there. Someone asking about Maine
Me
plus
too.
the points against UMass Lowell. I think it's just too many points to be laying with UMass Lowell there.
It's about to start. Yeah. See if you can get 11. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maine Black Bears. You're right. That's starting in just a few minutes, 6 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, Maine plus 11.5 is out there right now. There we go. Great stuff. Great Q&A. Lots of mid-major action. We packed it in as much as we could. We try to keep the show to an hour. Best bets coming up. Hit the like button. Best bets coming up right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. Southtown 101, when you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com, promo code PubSports, 20% off your purchase, a Lawnmower 4.0 or anything on the site, 20% off, free shipping with promo code PubSports. And because someone asked of Georgia State and ULM, Georgia State's taken a lot of money in that game. Now it's too much to be laying them with Georgia State. I think they're the better team. I think they win. Monroe's really kind of been struggling, but 4.5, I'm a little bit pumping the brakes. So it's just a matter of the lines move too far.
Yeah, I'm off there.
There we go. All right, best bets. It's been a great week of best bets. Last night, another good result. Let's see if we can keep the train rolling here. Conor Mack, best bets. What do you like?
Yeah, let's go with it. Ohio State, I think they get it done. Lay the 1.5. And let's throw a total. I like the Liberty, but North Texas, even 122 against Western Kentucky, under tonight.
All right, there we go. A couple of best bets there for Conor Mack. I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to go to that City Showdown. It's too many points, I think, for as good as UCLA is playing. USC has given them some trouble. We'll take USC plus 11.5 against UCLA. That'll be a side best bet, and I'll give you a totals best bet as well. Let's go with Indiana and Iowa. Over 152.5. I think we'll get over that number tonight with the Hoosiers and the Hawkeyes. So there you go. One side, one total best bet. USC plus 11.5 against UCLA, and Indiana, Iowa over 152.5. There you go. Best bets for this Thursday college basketball card. Great show. Fantastic. Congratulations to the two $50 winners. It was a great turnout in the chat. 200 live viewers. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. And we are back tomorrow. Friday is a fun show. I mean, it's a smaller card on Fridays, but on Fridays, you're going to get Ivy League. You're going to get Metro Atlantic. You're going to get Horizon League. Still some interesting games taking place on Friday, and we'll probably get through the entire card as well. So there won't be any Q&A on the Friday show. We'll blast through every game because it's such a small card. But I always like those Friday cards, little Metro Atlantic, little Ivy League, little Horizon League. You get the odd Big 10, Pac-12 game as well, Big East game. So Friday card tomorrow. Looking forward to it. And we will be back with you 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific tomorrow for another edition of the show.
Look at that. Be on the lookout for tomorrow. So shout out
there you
to
go.
Slaughter and everyone that won today. But look out, like he said, he could be back and become a member. You want to get these giveaways, and there'll be other shit, coming. So, but shout out to everyone that won, and hit the like button. We got over 200 in here. Give us a like. Let's get at least 150.
Yep, there you go. Exactly. Tomorrow on the show, another giveaway right there, says Jeff Slaughter. So make sure you join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we will break it down once again here on the show. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.